Yes, yesterday we learned about the stormwind of fire, fiery horses that Eliyahu and Navi, the Tanakh tells us, rode into heaven. Rabbi Nachman, in his exquisite style, explains to us what that means to us as regular human beings. But he begins the Torah telling us about the idea of a candle and the wind. That the wind is the Ruach, and the Ruach is the spirit of the tzaddik and the generation. And the candle is the generation. So as the wind blows, so too the candle responds to the spirit of the tzaddik of the generation. Now, everybody always asks, well, who is the tzaddik of this generation? And my general answer, my feeling is that the Lubavitcher Rebbe, who passed away 24 years ago, 25 years ago, is still the tzaddik of the generation until somebody comes along at least close to his level. Now, there are other great tzaddikim, and any other group will tell you that their rabbi is the tzaddik of the generation, and they're right for them. But there's always one guy who's at the top of the pyramid. And right now, I don't know who it is. It could be completely hidden. It could be the Messiah. It could be your neighbor and you don't know it. It's really not our question who he is right now. But the point is that this spirit starts at the top of this pyramid of souls and kind of blows down into the people. So whatever emotions, whatever teachings that the tzaddik is giving over are designed for the people in the generation. So whether or not you're Breslov or you're Chabad or you're Litvish or you're Sephardi, it doesn't really matter in terms of the spirit of the generation. This is a very broad concept of how you are moved in your service to God. And it's important to get moved in our service to God, because if we're not enthusiastic, then what are we doing? Going through the motions? A lot of people go through the motions their whole lives. Whether it's their work or their families, their relationships, it's a mediocre way to live. And mediocrity doesn't lead to good things. It leads to frustration. It leads to boredom. It leads to lost dreams. And ultimately, one of the reasons why we were given the Torah was that we should become inspired, that we should become enthusiastic about what we do. So the spirit of the tzaddik of the generation, the Rebbe also teaches us, is to remove the afurirut of the candle. Every candle has a little bit of ashes and coal that threatens to put out the candle. And that candle, if it gets too much fire, it gets put out. And if it doesn't get enough fire, it gets put out either way. So there has to be a balance in this fiery spirit of enthusiasm. Enthusiasm in Greek means entheos, in God. So to be enthusiastic and to be with God is more or less a parallel emotional state. So let's not kid each other that if I'm not enthusiastic about divine service, I've got to look at the reasons why. Okay. With all that said, the Rebbe is teaching us, though, about this fire that goes up and down according to the spirit of the righteous and blows down to the generation through the teachers and the teachers of the teachers and the students and so on and so forth down the pyramid. But it always has to do with the same thing, to remove the bitterness of our apparent perception of reality. And that bitterness can be removed when there's just the right amount of fire. Because the enthusiasm actually burns away what in Kabbalah is called the klipot. And one of the hard klipot, there's the klipa of desire. Klipot, our definition of this shell, the external shell that keeps us from experiencing the light of Hashem. It can be translated as the shell of desires, or the shell of honor, or the shell of worry and fallen fears. All these things actually dampen our ability to shine. And the Jewish people are designed to shine through the Ruach of the Tzaddik. So this candle metaphor, it goes on, and he uses it also to describe how the Jewish people is the heart of the nations. That just like the heart pumps blood to all the nations, the Jewish people is designed to spread that spirit to everyone else. And we see nowadays, we have the instant ability to spread the positive spirit from the tzaddikim out into the media, out into all sorts of communication tools, that people will get the idea of what the Torah is really about. And we'll drop these old-fashioned, preconceived, prejudiced notions about what it means to be religious, and we'll move on with our intimate relationship with God, because that's all it's really about. You and your Creator. And religion is a tool to help us get into that intimate relationship with our Creator. Okay. So the heart pumps blood to all the body. So too the Jewish people pumps blood or spirit to all the nations. And we can understand why there's sometimes the nations are having trouble with us, because maybe we're not sending them the right spirit. And sometimes maybe they have their own issues and agendas with the Jewish people, but usually when we look at anti-Semitism in a really close lens, you see that it has to do with money, and it has to do with jealousy and greed. And so those issues are behind all the dictators that have attacked the Jewish people. But this is not a class about that. We'll get there around Tisha B'Av time. And hopefully we'll do a full series on these ideas of the Kabbalah and the Holocaust around Tisha B'Av on our Patreon website. Okay. But listen to what Eliyahu Navi, the man who left this world on fiery horses in a storm wind. What is that about? Eliyahu Navi had the power to subdue the fire in the heart when it's too abundant, when there's too much enthusiasm. A person can burn himself, and he burns other people. I know when I was first becoming religious, I think I had a little bit of this fire. Some funny stories come out of that. Back in LA, we used to go up and down the streets of LA and scrub the anti-Semitic graffiti off the walls, and we had our share of conversations about such issues. We got pretty enthusiastic, and sometimes it got a little bit too much for people. And that fire has to be controlled, or it can burn ourselves and others. And so the Rebbe takes this metaphor of the way that Eliyahu passed away, as he was able to ride those horses of fire, means he was able to subdue that overabundant enthusiasm for serving Hashem. The man who rode upon the fiery horses, he was able to subdue them. Right? That when a person is out of his balance, this is one of the ways you know that if a person is too enthusiastic about anything, really, it's a sign that the klipa has taken hold of him. If he's too enthusiastic about sports, if he's too enthusiastic about politics, all of these things should tell us there's some balance missing. Because really, the spiritual path is the balanced path between all elements. In Kabbalah, they oftentimes give somebody the title Hacham Hashalem, the complete wise person. Now, a wise person has a lot of knowledge, and he knows how to use his knowledge. But he also has a balance between his traits. He doesn't get too angry. He doesn't get too passive. He doesn't get too excited. He doesn't get too apathetic. But rather, he stays right in the middle of everything. And that middle ground is really the goal. And we're going to talk about that today in our Patreon class, which we call in many Hasidic circles, Yishuv Hadat, the settled awareness. that settled awareness, which is like the throne from which you view the world. But it's not an easy throne to obtain. But nonetheless, Eliyahu had this power, and he was able to balance the fire in the heart to a mezig hashaveh, which literally means the equivalent atmosphere, where all things are in balance together. So this is not easy work, because all human beings are rooted in the four elements: air, earth, water, and fire. Now, but each person has one element which is the dominant element in their structure, in their development, physically and spiritually. Some people are water-based, some people fire-based, air-based, and earth-based, and each of those qualities can lead to an exaggeration and take someone out of balance. So that's just a little take on what we learned yesterday in our Patreon class, and I welcome all of you to check that out and see what we have to offer over there. We're going to be offering a new series of reincarnation soon in the upcoming days, and we're going to have a live question and answer show at 8 o'clock on Wednesday, Israel time, 8 o'clock p.m. And last month, we dealt with the difficult issues of sexual identity and homosexuality, and through the eyes of the Kabbalah and reincarnation, which is really a real healing thing for anybody who's dealing with these issues. Tomorrow night or Wednesday night, we'll see what we're going to take up. There's a lot of issues that the Kabbalah touches on in ways that we need to explain them and understand them. And I wrote a long piece about abortion through the lens of Kabbalah, because I know that's a huge issue now for a lot of people. It's a painful issue. And we might get to that. Depends on the questions that all of you ask. So through Patreon, you can submit questions that you'd like to have fielded in our question and answer show. So look forward to seeing all of you then. God bless you and have a great day.